Our first presentation today is from Chlöe Swarbrick, Green Party of Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Kia ora, just a few portfolios. We are in a caucus of only 8 Green MPs, so I hope you appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for hosting this. Thank you all very much for coming together today. Thank you in particular to Business North Harbour for hosting this event. I was reading just before up there your vision statement of connection, communication and collaboration. And I guess I just want to tautoko that and hopefully give a bit of an insight and a steering into where I hope this conversation today goes. So it kind of goes without saying that right now we are in, as everybody keeps saying, unprecedented times. But what is less obvious is where we go from here. As we weather the economic storm from COVID-19, there are 3 long-term crises that we also need to deal with. They are, of course, the climate crises, the biodiversity crises, and the crisis of deepening poverty across Aotearoa. And all of these crises can and must be solved together. 12 years ago, we pumped billions of dollars into the economy to get it going again after the global financial crisis. And at that time, experts and a vast number of organisations called on governments to put money towards a green recovery. But that stimulus, like almost every other economic stimulus in history, helped to further lock us into a highly polluting pathway that we were on before that global financial crisis hit. We cannot afford to make the same mistakes again. I mean, even before this pandemic came along, we knew that this was going to be one of the most consequential decades in human history. Global CO2 emissions must halve in the next 10 years if we are going to have any chance of avoiding climate breakdown. We also know that we need more homes that are safe and warm, better transport options, as of course the Harbour Bridge currently exemplifies, and more reliable water supplies. So why not address all of these challenges at the same time? We can make our homes warmer. We can build electrical vehicle charging networks, install clean and renewable energy solutions in our local communities, and redesign roads to support more cycling and public transport. We can change the way that we live and we work. And actually, COVID-19 proved that to us. All of the things that we once thought were politically or economically or otherwise impossible, the likes of working from home for sole parents and people with disabilities, housing the homeless, all of these things happened effectively overnight, exposing that they were always a matter of political willpower. All of these things that I've spoken about today will require large-scale deployment and will create jobs, and so will have benefits, not only for the climate, but to boost communities all over the country as well. And over the last 3 years, the Greens in government have put in place one of the world's most ambitious frameworks that will guide investment and innovation in the zero carbon economy of the future. We have passed the Zero Carbon Act unanimously. We've created the Independent Climate Change Commission. We've put a cap on emissions trading scheme finally. We have created change within the RMA so that climate change is now a consenting issue. We've put an end to new sources of fossil fuels and kick-started the hydrogen economy to replace them. We've funded the replacement of coal-fired boilers in our schools and our hospitals. And because of what we have achieved in government over the past 3 years, more people up and down Aotearoa, New Zealand can now make ends meet, and our economy is starting to move towards a cleaner and greener way of doing things as we restore our natural heritage. But it is just a start, and we cannot stop until that work is done. We cannot stop until we fully decarbonise our economy. We cannot stop until we eliminate poverty. We cannot stop until nature is thriving. For decades now, Economic progress has been accompanied by entrenched poverty, by high emissions, and by ecological degradation. We have assumed that investments and values are separable, when in fact I think we all know deep down that they are not. We have shifted subtly but relentlessly towards an economy where the price of everything is understood as the value of everything. As a result, we have ended up undervaluing the very things that make us who we are, like caring for each other and the planet. This is, indeed, an unprecedented moment. What we do with it will determine the quality of life for billions of people, not just for the next few months or years, but for generations to come. And what the Greens say is that we can tackle the climate crisis. Is that the end of my time? Okay, we can do all of this, folks. That's the takeaway. Let's do it together. Kia ora. 30 seconds. Oh, Mike McRoberts told me my time was up, and here we are. Effectively, what I'm saying with all of this is that we can do all of these things together. We don't have to pretend as though we just have to keep getting back on with business as usual and replicate so many of those problems that so many of us knew existed beforehand. In the words of Iona Holstead, who's the Secretary of Education to the Ministry of Education, COVID-19 merely exposed inequality. It didn't create it. And here we have an opportunity to design how we want to move forward. Kia ora.